Yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone is doing well on this late Tuesday night. It's 9:30 local time, and I fancy doing a bit of a shorter stream today. There isn't really an awful lot of things to talk about that's unique that I haven't already covered today on my previous stream earlier this afternoon. So do be sure to go give that a watch and also like the stream. Please like the stream and boost the algorithm. That would be fantastic of you to do so. But this shorter show, is an invitation to anybody to come discuss whatever the hell it is that they want to discuss. If you are an Arsenal fan, come discuss Arsenal topics. If you are a Tottenham fan, come discuss Tottenham topics. If you are a Chelsea fan, come discuss Chelsea topics. If you are a Man City fan or a Liverpool fan or a Carlisle United fan, come discuss the topics of your clubs. We are here to we are all ears. We are all ears on the show to the viewers, and I look forward to whatever it is people have to bring, have to discuss. But I've got some outlining topics as well to basically carry the opening of said show. A couple of topics that I want to briefly sort of trace over again, including Johnny Evans signing on a short-term deal. Don't know what this is about. I don't know why this has happened. I don't know whose idea this was. I don't know what the thinking was. Um, but whoever's idea it was, don't sack him, shoot him. Absolutely shoot him. Shoot him right in the balls, um, where it hurts most. But yes, we've got that news to cover. But we've also got Andre ONANA, and as per usual, we had the news earlier today, and this was way back in the morning, that supposedly they reckon 7 p.m. 7 p.m. is the time to expect him to be flying into Manchester. That hasn't happened. He's set to leave about now. Basically, he should be in the air, and he is currently on the way to Manchester as his flight departed Italy at 10:30 p.m. Local local time for Italy. That is. So it's not really local, then, is it? But still, mm, signature pint glass of chocolate milk before bed. I don't recommend people do that because you might get a bit of a caffeine rush when you do that. But anyhow, so they're reckoning that due to delays, whether we can call those unforeseen circumstances or foreseen circumstances, whatever it is, he's not going to arrive until very, very late tonight, probably in the early hours of tomorrow. So the medical cannot happen today, like I was hoping it could, and we're gonna have to wait till tomorrow. We have to wait till tomorrow, and as to what time he gets his medical, it's probably going to be early in the morning. So they'll let him have a sleep, wherever it is that he chooses to sleep, and then he'll probably be up and at it, attacking the day as per usual with professional football players. And we should probably maybe not just get the medical, but also perhaps the announcement, considering United want to fast track the player in. Probably want to fast track him in, try and get him to be involved in this preseason as soon as possible. I think it's pretty much guaranteed that he's ruled out of this game tomorrow, which is definitely not included in the squad. So there is a 0% chance that we at all see him tomorrow. Not even in the stands, which sucks. But oh well, oh wells. But yes. But aside from just Andre Onana, fingers crossed, we speed up on the Rasmus Højlund stuff as well. We get that signing sorted, uh, which once again, just to basically trace over my previously placed prints, um, previously placed footsteps, shall we say. Um, Not my sort of cup of tea with that striker profile. Not my cup of tea. It's probably a striker that everyone else wants, but not my favourable choice. Personally, if I were to have any confidence in a signing of strikers as to who would probably be more likely to deliver, I'd probably say Kolo Muani, and that is the name that has also been discussed as a Rasmus Højlund alternative. Um, Basically, it's just you got options, plan Bs or plan Cs, however many plans we opt to rock and roll with, basically. And Kolo Muani, much better goal scoring record in all competitions last season compared to Rasmus Højlund, which some people say, well, can't really. You can't really judge him. He's still quite young. He might have only scored 9 goals and assisted 3 in the Serie A last season, but hold back the judgment because you never know. He might hit big when he comes to the Prem. And I'm thinking to myself, do people not listen to themselves when they talk about players who come from other leagues into the Premier League, where they constantly say, oh, well, these players who play for these teams in these farmer leagues are fantastic, they're phenomenal. But at the same time, I contradict myself daily by saying the league is trash and every player in it contributes to said trash level of league. So it's a bit of a head scratcher. It is a bit of a head scratcher. Sort of thinking, well, how can Højlund be, this promising prospect and potentially be a revelation for Manchester United's attack next season, should we sign him this summer? How can he be this revelation if the league he plays in is terrible? His stats are, to be quite frankly honest, to how he's being hyped up, is actually pretty bad. It is actually pretty bad. He's probably, I'll tell you what, some people might say that this is a bit of a diss, but I don't care. It's a bit of a Scamacca, a young Scamacca. But then again, he's not even as proven in Syria as Scamacca was. So make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. Some people in the United fan base would love to have had Scamacca. They rate Scamacca, even though technically speaking, he's not actually that good. He's not that good. I'd say I'd classify him as above average. The only thing that I can say, honestly, that Højlund has going for him is that he's got age on his side. He's 20 years of age. He's still got his proving years, not his prime years, his peak years, his proving years, where he's got to fill out exactly what sort of a player he's going to mould himself into over time. So he's still got some key development phases laid ahead of him. So we're yet to probably see what the finished article for Rasmus Højlund is. But I'll tell you what, it's not looking great. Not looking great. Not looking too good. Not looking too good at all. But maybe it's just me being pessimistic Peter. Maybe I'm being a pessimistic Peter. Negative Nancy. Debbie Downer. Maybe I am being that. Maybe I am. But for me, what I want as a Manchester United supporter that wants to see his team, win all the most prestigious honours that football has to offer, all I want to see is my club sign the best in class. and sign the most promising in class as well. Whoever that whoever that may be, but if we've got an option that's better than the other, then I'd opt to say, well, I'd prefer to go and see us sign the better option. Whatever the best possible transfer we can go, I want us to target that. That's my aspirations and my beliefs in what I believe that my club should be doing. And for me, just my point of view, signing Hoyland doesn't enact that. Doesn't enact that. If it was my ideal world, it would be as what was suggested in the comments or in the chat during last stream, that someone would prefer a sign Kane and Hoyland. And I would say, okay, well, fair enough, because Hoyland's still got a lot to prove, and he's still got a lot of progression to make in his development phase. That if he's got Harry Kane to feed off of and learn from, Rasmus Hoyland could genuinely flourish into something quite special. He could. It's possible because he's got the benchmark playing in the team as well. And that is really the sort of, perfect world that I would want to see Rasmus Hoyland come into. He's got another striker there that he's essentially learning from, that he is the second option, the player that gets subbed on when the first team option gets subbed off. That's the ideal vision that I would have for Rasmus Højlund in the Manchester United team, but that's not what we're signing him for. We're signing him to be the out-and-out number 9, the pinnacle of Manchester United strike force, which is not great, considering he's only coming in to United with a goal-scoring record of 9 goals in the league, and he's had 32 games to do so. Now, don't get me wrong. I guess I could say I could cut him a lot of slack if his games tally in the league was sat maybe about 15, between 15 and 20, about 15 and 20 games played in the league. I could say, well, 9 goals in about 15 to 20 games. Okay, that's he's still learning his trades, so fairs to him. But the guy's pretty much played most league games as well as other games in other competitions. But his league goal scoring form, I mean, what are his other stats based off of the other leagues that he's played? Right, let's have a look here. So for Atalanta, so he's played 32 games. It wasn't even 3 assists, it was 2 assists. So he scored 9 goals with 2 assists in 32 games in Serie A. In the Coppa Italia, he's played 2 games with 1 goal, no assists. And that is essentially the only stats that he's had with Atalanta, as he's only really been there a year. He was at SK Sturm Graz in the Austrian Bundesliga beforehand. Surprisingly enough, based off of last season as well. He had 5 matches, scored 3 goals with 2 assists. Okay, well, he took off. He started firing off with Sturm Graz before moving to Atalanta. Fair plays. Ooh, hello. Adam Taylor, big ups to you, buddy. How you doing? Not sure why, but I'm sensing a late successful swoop for Kane. Bayern Munich seem desperate now. They do, and I don't know what I don't know really what the sort of expectation for Bayern will be if they're desperate for a player like Harry Kane, but they've got to conform to paying a gigantic transfer fee in order to get the signing done. And that's one thing that you don't really see a club like Bayern Munich or any German clubs for that instance doing. German clubs don't really break banks. They don't break banks for transfers. And it's, I mean, fair plays to them, but they don't really break any banks to signing some superstar players. So if we're in a bidding war with Bayern Munich, even with monetary troubles this summer, I could easily see us just blowing Bayern out the water. Because Bayern, when they operate with a policy where they're not spending hundreds of millions of pounds on players, I think what was their most expensive signing to date was probably what was it? Um, Elect, I think it was. Um, let's have a look. So yeah, went to Bayern Munich for 68 million pounds, and that was probably one of their most expensive. Was that a record? Um, what was their record signing? So Matthias de Ligt was their second most expensive signing ever. Who was their number one? Lucas Hernandez for 72 million pounds. So 72 million is the maximum they've ever done. The maximum that Bayern have ever gone is 72 million. If they want Harry Kane, they're breaking the transfer record again. To put it simply, they're breaking transfer record again, and it really depends because once you get to those sorts of levels, they're basically treading on eggshells. Because it's such a massive amount of money, and it's because you're going to be breaking transfer records. It's one of those where I think if you're Bayern Munich, maybe you second guess the idea of signing Harry Kane for as much money as that and opt to go for maybe someone even like a Kolo Muani. Maybe just as part of the thought process, because I know that they've just spent on Kim Min Jae to join their backline after selling Lucas Hernandez to PSG. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I'm not too sure how the finances are going to work for us if we haven't got the money. And I speculated based off of last stream that maybe there is a war chest that's hidden from public view that contains the exact fee that we'd need to basically get Daniel Levy to sit down at the negotiating table for talks for Harry Kane. Maybe that's why our budget was first uttered to being so low at the start with 100. I think it was first rumored at 120 million. We've had recently breaking that it was that the funds have been released for about 170 million. Spent 65 and now 47. So we're essentially what? Is that about 110 million pounds thereabouts? About 110 million. I'm terrible with my maths. I'm absolutely terrible with my maths. It's about 110 million pounds spent. So by their calculations, probably sat with another 30 million. Well, not 30 million. Jesus Christ, I really can't do math. 60 million left to spend. So we're trying to do 60 million for Rasmus Højlund. And to be honest, if there's anything to go by, I'd much rather see us break bank for Harry Kane with some guaranteed Premier League goals than signing Rasmus Højlund, who scored 9 in the Serie A. I'd feel like that's I'd probably want to say a safer bet. It's a safer bet. It's more of a guarantee that Harry Kane would be a more successful signing for Manchester United than Rasmus Højlund would be, because that's the element that we have that not enough United fans are quite clocking into with signing someone like Rasmus Højlund. It's a risk. There is a massive risk element to it. It's nowhere near as safe a bet as Harry Kane is. Nowhere near. With Harry Kane, you've got some goal scoring guarantees in the Premier League because he's proven it in, quite frankly honest, a pretty below average, below par Tottenham Hotspur side. And well, I say below par. Yeah, let's say they're below average. They can achieve a whole heck of a lot more than they have done over the past several years, and also have been essentially helped back by defensive football with a seriously lackluster recruitment. So, I mean, if the fact that Harry Kane's been doing it in those Spurs teams, you can't help but just say, well, you know, it speaks for itself. You know, Harry Kane's goal records in the Premier League, they completely speak for themselves. But you know, it's like what I've said numerous times, that where I have to stand on this is basically say, well, look, Eric Ten Hag wants this player, so the best we can do is essentially say, okay, then Eric, you want that player, you can take him, you can take the risk, but if it doesn't work out, you will be held accountable for it. And that is, it's as simple as that. Johnny Evans back at the club. Is there a glitch in the matrix? It would quite possibly seem so, that we have got a glitch in the matrix. By the looks of it, we've managed to uncover the time capsule buried beneath the pitch at Old Trafford. But instead of finding a hidden message that's been written to us from the past, instead we opened the time capsule and found Johnny Evans sat there with the 2012-13 kit on, with his Premier League medal sat around his neck. We found Johnny Evans frozen in time, and it's just like, oh, so you're the thing in the time capsule. You're the message. Oh, okay. So literally, I don't like this news broke whilst I was doing my last live stream. It made no sense. Honestly, it doesn't make any sense. Some people, like, I'm genuinely interested to see if people, and I've seen some people talking about it. I've seen Andy Mitten talking about it, saying, well, I can see the logical side to it. And the reasons he gave essentially said, oh, you know, this is why I think it's logical. But essentially, he ends his statement with something that kind of speaks volumes of, well, I can also I don't see the logical side to this either as well. Basically, I'm thinking, right. So you've just explained why you think there's a logic behind it, but then you also then just finish off your statement by saying, but I also don't see the logic behind it. Okay. So I think this is something that might have people in two minds. I mean, there's a lot of people that are feeling quite hysterical about it, because people are thinking, you know, is that a Harry Maguire replacement? Personally, if it is, then cool. I guess we've got an upgrade. I guess we've got an upgrade for a season. But Johnny Evans, and it's not even like it's a proper deal. Like, it's not even a proper deal. He's here for like half a season till January before he disappears. I'm thinking to myself, why? What's this for? What are we proving? And what are we improving by deciding to bring Johnny Evans back to the club? What are we actually changing? How is this going to improve Manchester United Football Club? Does anybody have any ideas? Because I don't see how this changes anything. It's like, oh, by the way, we signed Johnny Evans. See, look, no one cares. It's like one of those. It's like that scene at the beach where there are two blokes sitting at a table, and one's decides to scream something like for the other guy's insecurities or something. He just screams out in public this other guy's insecurities, and he's just like, see, nobody cares. It's like that. So in Manchester United, once they do the announcement, I mean, the people who are proper wet wipes and wet bags will probably come out literally stuck to their bed sheets and whatnot. They'll come out with the wet crotch and everything, absolutely just like, oh my God, we got Premier League champions in our team again. Can't believe it. And everyone else would be like, so what? Why? What does this prove? What does this mean? Is this what, like, why is this deal being done? You know, is Johnny Evans here to help the defense? Because as far as I'm concerned, who is he helping? If Johnny Evans legitimately is coming back to help people, and that's one of the, I think that was one of the reasons that Andy Mitten saw logic in Johnny Evans coming back to the club, is that, well, he's here to give experience. What to who? Who needs in the first team of Manchester United Football Club? Who needs first team experience? Who in the first team needs experience? What is he going to teach Varane how to defend? Is he going to teach Lissandro Martinez how to win a header? Well, what? You can't even teach Lindelof a damn thing. Like, who is he legitimately going to share his experience with? Who? I mean, even if he is, even if he has been the essentially what we could call the steady Eddie type defender in the Premier League, what is he going to be able to improve on Manchester United's defence? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and it's like, I was surprised that I didn't have someone in chat, screaming at me. It's just like, oh my God, Johnny Evans back, Johnny Evans back. Literally, I went and refreshed it, and apparently it was like 45-minute old news that Johnny Evans had completed a short-term deal back to Manchester United. Because I saw him driving into Carrington, I was just like, am I sure I'm not looking at a picture of him arriving to training for a session back in 2013? Oh my God, no, that's actually modern day. What the hell's happened here? And then I see it, I'm like, what? Why? What's happened here? So yeah, it's absolutely just, it is confusing by every way, shape, or form. It's just confusing. I don't understand the logic behind it. If someone else has some logical reasoning behind why we've re-signed Johnny Evans on a short-term deal, because I mean, maybe you can give a reason for him being back if he was on a 1-year deal or something. Maybe you could find a more, legitimate reason for that. But for a short-term deal, it feels like, oh, don't worry, mate, I've got you covered. You need some time to time to kill, I've got you. And so here have a 6-month contract to see you through till January, and then once you've got some leverage, you can go find your next club. I don't understand that. But then again, it's Manchester United, and we love to give mates rates to people. We absolutely do. We love to do it. Um, let's let's make this a little more interesting and talk about some other news. Also, just a quick one. Shout out to Rotak Egan. Rotak Egan. I think that's how you pronounce it. Rotak Egan. Shout out to them for, across the last 2 games of playing Bayern Munich, have lost on aggregate 50-0. And if we want to make it 3 games on aggregate, Rotak Began 2, Bayern Munich 70. 70. Bayern Munich have legitimately put 70 goals past this team in 3 games, pre-season or not. I know it's quite bad for Arsenal to concede 15 goals to one club in the space of 3 games in the Champions League, conceding to Bayern in 3 games. But to concede 70 goals, even if you are literally a team of like what, over 50s, like the gentleman's club, the local gentleman's club going up against Bayern Munich. I mean, Jesus God, well, I say that maybe the gentleman's club would concede 70 goals in 1 game, but you get my point. An actual professional club go and concede 70 goals in 3 games. And maybe, I'll tell you what, the people who were sexual over Marcel Sabitzer, if there were people, maybe they're even more sexual for him now, because that guy scored 5 goals in that game. So maybe you'll start to see some Sabitzer back to United trending. Look at him, he scored 5 goals in 1 game. Yeah, he scored 5 goals in 1 game against a team that have conceded 70 goals to you. You know, it's bound to happen. I'd be disappointed if you didn't score 5 goals in 1 game. I'd be a little bit underwhelmed. I'll tell you what, Sadio Mane only got one goal in that game. I mean, even what, Alphonso Davies and then Rafael Guerreiro scored a goal each. Literally, left back scores a goal, gets subbed off for another left back. That left back goes and scores a goal as well. It's the perfect rendition of that meme from The Simpsons where it's like, stop, it's already dead. Literally. 70 goals. That like averaging a goal every 3.5 minutes. Well, if you look at the goals tally page, what is it here? Literally, you almost have to scroll with the goal scorers. You have to scroll just to see who it is who scored all the goals. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. It's so insane that 3 different players got 5 goals. 3 different players got 5 goals, and something like 4 players got hat tricks as well in that 1 game. Davis got a goal, Lima got a goal, Mazraoui, Upamecano, Sane, Guerrero, Gravenberch, Coman, and Mane all got singular goals. But Musiala, Gnabry, Tell, and Sabitzer with hat tricks, as well as 3 of them getting 5 goals apiece. Crazy stuff. But you know, each to their own. Big ups to Bayern for being the local German bully. I like to just bully everyone. Let's have a look. Our new away kit is coming, says Manchester United. I don't know. Like, let me know what you guys think about the Manchester United away kit, because that design, I first saw it when it was a leak, and I was like, oh my god, black and white kit. It's a black and white kit. What are we doing? We're not Newcastle. What is that? The kit to commemorate us beating Newcastle in the Carabao Cup final? What is this? But no, upon seeing it and inspecting it in fine detail, eloquent detail, it's actually a dark moss green with a white stripe and a red pinstripe in the white stripes. Whoever came up with that has so much self-hatred that they decided to put it on the canvas for a shirt design, and then someone must have been as high as Snoop Dogg to the power of 1,000,000 to accept it. Like, man's probably puffed a blunt that's connected to about 500,000 other blunts that are just gradually get bigger as you go along. Like, who in their right mind thought that that would be a good kit design? And some people rate it. Some people go and see it, and it's like, oh, that's actually pretty good. I'm like, it's Manchester United Football Club. Why does a kit of this club look like that? Why? Oh, it's one of the ugliest things. One of the ugliest kits I've ever seen Manchester United produce. One of the ugliest kits. I rate the what is it? The Manchester United home kit that was compared to a stagecoach bus seat. I rate that kit more. Ah, when we used to, when we were referred to by some as the bus wankers. Mm. But yeah, I just don't rate that at all. Who do you think has been the surprise player of preseason so far, and which youngsters do you think will break into the first team this year? Um, well, I doing the preseason, I think it's a bit difficult to say based off of one first preseason game, considering people will only play 45 minutes, and I guess it's not really a serious game. It's what I've referred to as quite a throwaway game. It's the least significant game that a professional football club can actually play. Like, you cannot get a more insignificant game because there's absolutely nothing to play for. So it's difficult to actually say for certain what player is going to be a really good watch. But one player that I think we can use based off of credit in the bank, off of his appearances, or the sort of role that he had from last season, you know, trailing over into this preseason and hopefully into the next season, or this coming season, is Kobe Minu. Now, Kobe Minu, we played against a Leeds team that, whilst no one really cares, they didn't really do anything, right? It's always nice to kick Leeds when they're down, right? And they are down. They are down and they are bad. They are trash. So enjoy the championship. You're fucking damned United Football Club, you know? So now I got that off my chest. They pressed, right? Leeds pressed, right? They put pressure on those who were pivoting in the midfield, who were deep lying midfielders. Kobe Minu was in that position. He was pressed occasionally by 1 to 2 players, and sometimes there was a third player to cut the passing lane as well. Kobe Minu said, I don't care about your press. He takes a ball, he plays a sensible pass if he's under too much pressure or he can't turn with it. If he gets it, he would turn with it, he'd run with it, he carried it, he would beat a player off a dribble, he would make someone look like a right clown. Like, even if it is the first preseason game, it's such an insignificant game, but the scenario is essentially the same. You're pressed by 2 to 3 players. You can, like, I mean, Hannibal Mabry in that game pressed on an individual basis and caused Leeds defenders to absolutely have a nightmare. That first half from that Leeds defence was shambolic, was awful. The amount of mistakes that backline was making, and it was coming from the press further up the pitch, from individuals staying very close to their markers, very, very close. They weren't losing runners. Now, it's quite important for people to press, or for United to press as a team and not as individuals, because if you press as individuals, you can find that it's quite easy to play through. But if you press as a team, as a collective, you win the ball back under high press. But what we were doing was we weren't losing the runners. So Leeds, when they have lesser quality, they can't get a moment's notice before a United player sticks a leg in to intercept the ball. Their goalkeeper, clearing the ball, was practically intercepted like 6 times out of 10. 6 times out of 10, the goalkeeper's clearing ball was intercepted by a midfielder. So it so the pressing from us was causing problems. The fact that then on the other side of the coin, our back line and our midfielders were being pressed by multiple people at a time, but we were just shrugging it off. We were shrugging it off. Like, who cares? Kobe Mainu looks like he has got the makings, the potential makings on the ball, specifically on the ball, for a seriously, seriously talented, deep lying midfielder. Now, whether he has or develops a playmaking aspect to his game, that remains to be seen. I'd like to see him have some opportunities where we can see him with a bit more of a responsibility in games. Now, obviously, we're not going to see him be the go-to second choice as such, or Casemiro's replacement, or someone who's going to be rotating with Casemiro, because I think that's much too early for him. I think he's still got at least another season left before he can at all get to that stage. So I think as far as the closest to most surprise player of preseason is probably Kobe Mainu. And as for who would break into first team, there's a couple of names I'd want to say, but a part of me sort of there's question marks on these players. I reckon Amad Diallo is probably the most likeliest to see more minutes or a breakthrough of some kind into the first team picture, where we've had Garnacho doing it, to coming off from the bench on the left hand side. If we've got Amad Diallo who's is an option to come on for the right hand side, maybe that's where we've got a likely case for seeing someone from a youth team position to come through and getting first team game time. So Amad Diallo for me is probably the most likeliest to break through. I would like to see Kobe Mainu given some more minutes, as you know. As for whoever else, I thought Alvaro Fernandez, had a bit of the know-how to deliver on what Ten Hag wanted his fullbacks to do, and was occasionally in good positions. Right, he would find himself when the team was in possession. He'd find himself in some good positions, and out of possession, again, got back into a good shape, because during that game, Leeds only ever got in big time down our right hand side. So where Wan-Bissaka went up the pitch, Wan-Bissaka was not fast to get back into position defensively. But Alvaro Fernandez never got caught out once. Not once. So Alvaro Fernandez potentially has got a case for him. But then again, that might see, Ten Hag might look at that and see he's so very close to doing it. The safest bet for me is to see him go to a first team or play first team football for a championship club, or better yet, for another club in top division, in top flight football. And maybe that's what he opts to do. But for me, those three players are probably looking like the most likely, in my honest opinion. Some might say Matej Kovar as a goalkeeper, and I'd say I would agree with that. But then you look at what the stories surrounding the goalkeeping situations are, and I would say that the goalkeeper, the young goalkeeper that's most likely going to feature for Manchester United this season, by any means, is not even a goalkeeper that's at this club as like a backup option, right? He's not even at the club. There's Zion Suzuki, right? Because he's on the radar to being signed as a backup choice. Kovar, who's done well on his loan spell to win the Czech title, perhaps the idea in mind is that he goes back to do the same thing, or he goes to do something similar. whether he goes back to Slavia Prague or whether he goes to another club, to perhaps exceed the level or standards that he set last season. Maybe that's what we see him do. That's a big possibility. Tom Heaton is someone else that either stays as third choice option, or he will also be moved on. As for where Tom Heaton goes to, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. I don't know if it was him or Jack Butland that went to or was linked with Rangers. I can't remember which one that was. Was probably Jack Butland, but correct me if I'm wrong. But Tom Heaton is either going to be third choice option or he's leaving. So Zion Suzuki is probably going to be the other sort of young option that you'll probably see feature for United at some point next season or in future seasons. So yeah, basically that's there's your tally of names. I might have blatantly missed out someone. I don't think Hannibal Mabry's quite got the minerals. He hasn't got quite the minerals. He ain't proper Chelsea, but he hasn't got the minerals right to feature as a stable I'm trying to find the right words. Let's say competent, a competent enough option to fill a key role, progressing into next season. Hannibal Mabry, as impressive as he was, as much of a machine as he was on the pitch, obviously you look at him from a profile perspective and you say, well, as much as he's entertaining to watch and as much as hard working as he is on the pitch, this is Manchester United. Maybe if we're talking about this being, say, Brentford or something, you could say, okay, well, Hannibal Mabry could have a chance in the first team picture. I think he went to Birmingham City and did relatively well. I thought he did relatively well for Birmingham City. But that's the thing. He didn't really have any sort of fair argument to say that he's anything more than just another face in the crowd at Birmingham City. He might have had some seriously insane highlight goal or something, or assist. But, any player can do that. Any player can grab you that insane clip of him scoring a free kick from miles out. That it renders the defense and goalkeeper completely obsolete and irrelevant. Anybody can do that. And I think those clips are basically the only thing realistically going for Hannibal Mabry. So for me, Hannibal's not quite it. He's not quite it. As for whoever else, I think probably Garnacho is going to see increased game time this season. Definitely. I think because we've still got the 5 sub rule. I'm glad that we have the 5 sub rule as well, by the way. It's a bit of a lifesaver. But yeah, Garnacho probably going to see more minutes. And that's essentially. Let's see. Consider your questions answered. But yeah, if your answers didn't satisfy you, then I'm sorry. I'll just follow the channel. But even so. Let's have a little look. So, exclusive. Alex Telles to Al Nassr. Done deal, and here we go. Posted 8 minutes ago. The agreement ready after deal revealed earlier today. Understand Manchester United will receive £4 million fixed fee plus add-ons. Told the salary will be 7 million net per season plus add-ons. We didn't even challenge to increase that bid. Didn't even challenge. It's a cheap one. It's another cheap one. Got no money from that. Absolutely no money from it whatsoever. And I'll tell you what, Some people will be happy with it as it's just guaranteed money incoming. Some people will be happy with it, but others will probably feel, we've been properly hard done by there. It's only 4 million. I mean, what's 4 million going to buy? Well, based off of selling what Zidane Iqbal and Alex Tellers, you can sign Suzuki. Happy days. There you go. Problem solved. There you go. Max out your sales profits. Even though we haven't made a profit, we've literally lost 10 million on them. Lost £10 million off of Alex Tellers for playing one season and loaning him for a second. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Not good. Not good. Let's have a look. Also, just a quick one. Big ups to Edwin van der Sar, who posted 4 hours ago from this moment that he is in a good position. He is in he's in good health. He's out of intensive care, thankfully. He's he's going to be. I think he said he's going to be in hospital for another week. Yes, so he says he'll go home next week and continue his steps on his recovery from then. So yeah, massive big ups to Edwin van der Sar. God bless that he is doing okay and that he's on the path of recovery. It's actually quite a sweet picture there as well of Edwin and his wife celebrating that his journey back to good health again. So we'll drink to you, Edwin. We'll drink to you. All in good health. All in good health and good wishes. That's what we want. That's what we want. Yeah. Kim Min Jae. That's it's one of those sites that it shouldn't bother you, but it bothers me seeing Kim Min Jae chilling out in Bayern merch and stuff, like Bayern shirts and everything. And it's like, well, he could have so easily have been doing stuff in a Manchester United shirt. Could have so easily. But we just never took things seriously enough. Don't know what that was. Feel like something just smashed into my door there. Very peculiar. Very peculiar. So, oh, hello. Someone says here, let's have a little gander with this, right? So, Ollie Train, Jesus Christ, that name wants to make me cry. Why Maguire to Chelsea makes sense. Let's read this man's justification for this transfer move. Thiago Silva, he's 38 years of age, yet still he's one of the best centre-backs in the league, which is quite funny. Chalobah, bang average. Okay. Some Chelsea fans might debate that. Personally, I think he is relatively average as well. Levi Colwill, 20 years old, inexperienced, even though he played for Brighton in the first team for a whole season and was actually, he was all right. He was all right. I think he'll come in and sort of be a similar squad level as Trevor Chalobah. So I mean, I don't know, maybe Pochettino, because Pochettino likes to build first teams, right? And I think if Levi Colwill, with his age profile and with the qualities that he'll show, I reckon Pochettino would actually quite fancy starting him a lot next season. I reckon Pochettino would fancy that. And maybe you'll see him mould into the first team picture as well. Badiashile, 22 years old, inexperienced, even though Badiashile, again, first team Monaco defender last season, or season before last season, but everyone was really trash for Chelsea. Which actually is quite funny, because actually Badiashile, being a defender, probably the best element to Chelsea's team was the defence, because they were never pummeled by anybody until, of course, they faced United at Old Trafford. Then that ended very, very quickly and very swiftly. But Chelsea's defence never conceded a huge amount of goals. They never did. And Badiashile was in that defence. Fofana injured, out for the whole year, and then Sarr. Who is that? Question mark. Who is Sarr? Nobody knows who Sarr is. Nobody knows. But Fofana, I think Harry Maguire to Chelsea is probably completely dependent on what's happened with Wesley Fofana's injury. Now, if Wesley Fofana doesn't get injured, I don't think Maguire's at all discussed by Chelsea. I don't. Maguire, as far as profiles are concerned, he is not Wesley Fofana. I'll tell you that much. He is not Wesley Fofana. But you know what? That would be actually quite funny. That Chelsea would actually be harbouring two of the most expensive centre backs. If Maguire goes to Chelsea, they'll be harbouring two of the most expensive centre backs in the Premier League, in Maguire and Wesley Fofana. But Jesus, I mean, I genuinely wonder. Like, I probably might actually, after this, go and look at some Chelsea fan channels to see what they're actually saying, how they're reacting to the potential of being linked to Maguire, because I can't imagine they're that pleased by that. I can't imagine that they're that happy. Maybe they are. Maybe they're absolutely, rocking it out, jamming it out with an air guitar. Maybe they're that happy. Maybe they're that overjoyed. Who knows? But I can imagine that they're not best pleased with being linked to Harry Maguire. But maybe if there are Chelsea fans who end up watching this on playback, let me know in the comment section below how you're rating the prospect of a Harry Maguire transfer. Even if you signed him for free, would you rate it? I can't imagine you would. I cannot imagine that you would. But anyways, who else? What else have we got? If there is anything else that you want for us to discuss, drop your discussions, your topical points in the chat. We'll cover them. We'll try and cover them as quickly as possible as well, so get them in fast, because we won't be live for much longer. This was meant to be a shorter interactive stream, but yes. Oh dear. St. Maximin. So this is some update from Newcastle about St. Maximin. Eddie Howe saying, St. Maximin talks are on with FFP. We have to trade, otherwise we would be stuck this summer. I don't want to lose him. FFP, to a degree, it looks like it will happen. Sometimes these things have to happen for club to grow. Ooh, Al Ali is on it. Alan St. Maximin might be leaving Newcastle. Is there any Premier League clubs out there? Any Premier League clubs that would want to sign Alan St. Maximin? Supposedly, I mean, that's a big loss. That is a big loss for Newcastle to lose Alan, to potentially be losing Alan St. Maximin. Potentially a very, very big loss for them. And surprising as well. Very, very, very surprising. To be fair, though, I haven't really seen Newcastle do much in the way of actually selling on their players yet for very good fees, or strong commanding fees. I think as it stands, obviously FFP are going to be holding them under a microscope for a long, long time because of the Saudi takeover there. So, and plus also Saudi ownership. So obviously, with players going potentially to Saudi, of course FFP are going to be alarms blaring and everything, and get the microscope out and you know, zoom in on Newcastle, pay attention to every minor detail that they process. Maybe maybe that's what FFP are planning to do. Henceforth, we see. Henceforth, we are seeing this story coming out. But I do wonder what Newcastle fans are making uh, of that story. You know, I think there's probably going to be quite a few Newcastle fans that will be quite upset with that. I can imagine there'll be quite a few upset with that. Um, hmm. Let's have a look. Seeing what else there is going on. Interesting. Bynum upping the asking price on Sadio Mane amid interest from the Middle East once more. I think that's probably what the meta behind player sales is going to somewhat turn into. If you need players sold to balance books and whatnot, Saudi Arabia is probably going to be the best guaranteed bet, perhaps. Quite possibly. Quite possibly. Interesting that Manchester United have only had one dealing with Saudi Arabia with Alex Tellers. Surprise has only been the one. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that there is to discuss. I should probably wrap it up there before it gets too late in the day and before everyone's got to disappear off to bed. So yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think we'll call it a day there. So yes, big ups to everyone who tuned in, who joined into the stream, who dropped a comment and liked the stream. I only had one like. Oh, anyone else watching this on playback, make sure that you add to those likes. Smash up that like button, get it pushed up the algorithm, get it watched more, and spread the good news. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, big shout outs as well to a particular bloke that I was watching earlier before I went to dinner. It was long-haired Yeti, Nottingham Forest fan. I'm sure people in this sort of YouTube footballing sphere will most likely have heard of long-haired Yeti. But he's got his own channel, was doing a watch-along stream earlier today for Nottingham Forest against it's Valencia. Good lad, good lad. Quite a funny stream, quite a funny community as well. Quite some good amounts of people. Big ups to the guys in that chat as well, who also then drop subscriptions to this channel. Big ups to all of you. So that's Carl Rossi, Mama Flossie, and Jaminho. Those three in particular, as well as long-haired Yeti, of course, who was also subbed to this channel. So big ups to all of you, and really, really appreciate all your support. I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling the love. But speaking of love, I'm going to love you and leave you. So have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday night, and we'll see you again tomorrow, Wednesday. Goodbye for now.